But, General, to me, she's royalty.
Hey, it's Tim. This episode of Less Than 12 Parsecs was supposed to be my 10 stupid questions with Dave and Mark from the Hot Wampa podcast, but I'm going to put that off until tomorrow. Today, we lost our princess, Carrie Fisher. As you probably know, Miss Fisher suffered a heart attack on the 23rd as she flew back to Los Angeles from London. This was devastating news to fans, but when her brother, Todd Fisher, stated she was now in stable condition, I think many of us breathed a sigh of relief and assumed everything was going to be okay. Sadly, though, it wasn't, and Carrie Fisher became one with the Force just before 9 a.m. Pacific time this morning. I'm not one to get hung up over celebrity deaths. They're people, just like us, and we all die. I don't think I've ever shed a tear for an actor, musician, or artist, but I can tell you today, I did. In fact, I'm finding it kind of hard to get through this now. Maybe it's because Star Wars is just such a huge part of my life, of my identity. Maybe it's because I can't remember a time in the last 40 years when Carrie Fisher wasn't on my radar in one way or another. Remembering back, I think of 5th grade, which was between the release of Empire and Jedi for me, and kids in my school started dating. Not that you could really call it that, but everyone had a girlfriend. There were no nights out on the town, no notes were passed, no one held hands. You just had to have a girlfriend. I know it sounds weird, but hey, that's what kids do. Anyway, before I landed my first real girlfriend, I had Princess Leia. She was my invisible girlfriend. If someone stopped and asked me if I had a girlfriend yet, because that's what the whole year was about, that's all anyone ever talked about, I would say yes, I had Carrie Fisher. I would say it proudly and without irony. I know it sounds silly, but at 10 years old, Carrie Fisher was my girlfriend. Moving on a year or two, I wish I could tell the classic Gen X tale of how when I first saw Carrie Fisher in the Princess Leia slave girl gold bikini outfit, the Hutt Slayer outfit, if you will, it unleashed a torrent of hormones within me. But I can't. I guess I was a bit of a late bloomer. During the dark times, Carrie was still part of my life. She would pop up here and there. Before we moved to the farmlands of rural Vermont, we had HBO for a few years, and I remember Under the Rainbow being on quite a bit. I loved that movie. I think I gotta rewatch it again. Then, in high school, thanks to my buddy Chris Van Amberg, I really got into the Blues Brothers. And as you probably know, Carrie Fisher was in that film as well. She played the jilted fiancée of Jake Blues. I always thought her small part was the funniest in the film, actually. Then along came college next, and before there was such a thing as Netflix and chill, we had VHS and sit in an awkward, uncomfortable silence in the dark. Well, maybe that was just me and my nerdy self. Anyway, the tape of When Harry Met Sally was passed around the dorm quite a bit, because it was said it was one of those movies that if you watched it with the right girl, you were guaranteed to get a goodnight kiss. Well, Carrie was only a supporting player in that film, but when she was on screen, my mind would always turn to Princess Leia, and I would think, man, I wish I was watching Star Wars instead. Keep in mind, this is back before Star Wars was cool again. Soon after college, Star Wars came back big time, and I was instantly hooked all over again. Just as hard as I was when I was a child in the 70s, maybe more so. Anyway, that brings us to today. You know, for some reason, I don't think I would be this sad if Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, or even George Lucas himself had passed away. There was always something special to me about Carrie. I think it was her intelligence, her wit, her strength, the way she overcame the troubles in her life. That's just really, all of that was just really appealing to me. I was happy to learn today that she had completed her work on Episode 8. She was slated to appear in Episode 9 as well, so now I'm left to ponder the fate of General Organa. What will become of our Leia? But when I think this, I then feel selfish. Leia is just a fictional character who will live on in novels, games, comics, toys, whatever else Lucasfilm wants to do with the character. But Carrie Fisher is gone, leaving behind a family and friends. And Gary, her dog, Carrie Fisher. Damn it. Thinking about that dog makes me want to cry again. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with a song today from the band The Yavin 4. These guys were guests on our show, The Expanded Faniverse, and they have a wonderful album of Star Wars-inspired songs. Please find their links in our show notes. This is their song, Leia.
Leia, lovely Leia Organa. Leia, lovely Leia Organa. Don't you fear, your man is here. I may be scruffy, but I know you love me. Kiss me for good luck. Kiss me, I'm love struck. Alderon's finest, my royal highness. My love Your man is here.
You truly belong here with us among the clouds.
Thank you.